evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. It is Sunday, and you know what that means. It means it's Sunday Fun Day, and it's another edition of Wrestling Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory. What does that mean? Well, it means our panelists are going to be arguing over 1 point to center Wrestling Heaven, 1 point to center Wrestling Hell, and 1 point to center Wrestling Purgatory. We're going to talk about all that and more, but I need to introduce the panel. And the panel today kicks off with Clark Taylor. Clark, how are you?
What's going on, Ben? I'm stoked to be back as always. As a guy who's firmly signed up for Purgatory in general himself, I have always loved Wrestling Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory because I just know that that's where I'm for sure headed. Total tweener, always have been, but I'm excited about this show. I've got some good ideas here. I'm ready. I didn't take notes. It's all here, but I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one. These ones always are. Also joining us today, we're the head of reviewing here at Wrestling Republic, Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
Well, I'm currently making sure my Wrestling Hell point is the best it can ever be, because you always paint me as the devil for these shows. I don't know where that seems right. I guess there's a lot of people who want to make me the wrestling devil because I rate WWE shows too high. Maybe, I don't know. But of course, I'm here. Of course, it's a great pleasure to be here for a Sunday Fun Day at this point. Of course, I'm getting ready. I don't have the brain Clark has. I have one small notepad that I got my 3 top points written down on, and of course, I hope to compete.
Absolutely, it's gonna be good, no doubt about it. And yeah, you're probably right. The Instagram commenters probably want to send all of us to Wrestling Hell, but also joining us, we also have the head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Ant?
I'm doing all right. It's the first time I'm doing this, and yeah, absolutely. I think there are a portion of the viewers that all have wanted to send all 4 of us to hell at different points. So it should be fun. Coby, I don't know. Painting you as the devil might have something to do with you picking Austin Theory as the Money in Bank winner. Oh wait, that was me. Never mind. You overslept.
Oh, that was a fun Sunday Fun Day just a few weeks ago. But we have a comment here from Soul saying, bruh, why are you wearing that mid shirt? This is not a mid shirt, right?
I think he's talking about me. Yup, in my white tee.
Oh,
absolutely.
He is. Oh, okay. I take it back. So
I think he's criticizing I'm in my white tee, right? Like, it's classic style, man. I think
it's
look
simple,
it up,
but effective.
Google it. Simple and effective.
Brian Danielson pulls it off, but if you were on about this shirt, well, it's the shirt of the people who are going to be the Premier League winners this year. Of course, the season gets underway next week, and Cav KSK is, of course.
I love the rival fandom, though. Respect, friend of the show, monster shout out, Cav KSK.
Not monster shout out. It's commenting hate about the best team the world has ever seen, and that is Arsenal.
If you don't have haters, you're not doing anything right.
Clark, I think Soul's problem with your shirt might be because Punk returned in that shirt too. So
the same one? No, it's not this one. I believe. How did he get my shirt?
Check the WWE tag in the back.
We're not the same size.
But what's it called? Let's get. A lot of people would want to send CM Punk to Wrestling Hell, that's for sure. But let's talk about Wrestling Heaven. Firstly, all of you guys have about 2-3 minutes to just pitch to me what you guys want to send to Wrestling Heaven. We'll start with you, Clark. What are you sending there?
So this is going to be kind of wild out of the gates, but I'm going with, oh, wait a minute. In the comments, monster shout out Cam takes. You're the man. Yes. I am sending to Wrestling Heaven. I'm sending to Wrestling Heaven, and I have to send it all the way there. All the way there. One entity in professional wrestling right now, and that's Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns deserves to go straight to Wrestling Heaven because of a multitude of reasons. First off, the Bloodline storyline has been the most electric story in wrestling for a long time now, multiple years. On top of that, he does what's now a lost art, and he continually does it effectively. Roman Reigns goes away and makes you want him back. And he does it every time, and he gets us on it. Not to mention, you have a man, Joanna Y, battling leukemia still. He is still on oral chemotherapy, wrestling at this level, operating at this level of athleticism, entertaining us to this level. He didn't have to say a word on Friday night. And dang, was he the most important thing that happened this week. And he continues to do it over and over and over again. He over delivers in a way that other wrestlers, you cannot say the same about over the last 4 years specifically. Roman Reigns, to me, wrestling heaven, absolutely.
I mean, I said this on Allison Analysis yesterday, but when he got that massive pop last night, well, Friday night, there was no denying that he was the most over babyface, not just in that building, but in their entire company right now. I mean, that guy is WWE.
I mean, babyface heel wrestler. He's the most over wrestler in the world.
Yes.
People ask,
stop.
I got comments and questions from friends that barely watch pro wrestling, barely tune in. Did you see Roman came back at SummerSlam? They all saw it on Peacock in the middle of the Olympics. In the middle of the Olympics.
That's
And
true.
I mean, my friends are all sports fans, and I'm talking about my college buddies. We're sitting here chatting about it, and they're like, yeah, did you see Noah Lyles didn't get it done in the 200? Wait a minute, Roman Reigns is back? They don't ask that about anybody else. They don't ask that about anybody else. And it was one of those things that was jarring to me. It was amazing because I enjoy talking about wrestling with anybody, whether you're a casual fan or a hardcore fan. I enjoy having a conversation about it because I'm passionate about the subject and the product. It was a really fun week in that regard because you had the 2 appearances, and man, it's absence makes the heart grow fonder does work. And the formula that Roman Reigns has been able to, sort of muster up, the one he's been able to execute upon, it's working. It continues to work. And it's just going to lead to more fun, more big marquees, more big matches, and all of that. I thought the God mode was a corny gimmick at one point. I think I was wrong.
Yes, I completely agree. I think you were wrong. And it is funny that, like, Vince always wanted him to be this huge babyface, but it's taken quite some time, but he is now finally there. We have Kafka's Case putting up those ones in the chat. We've got Laurie Taylor agreeing with you, Clark, and we have Saul saying that he'd rather watch the Olympics closing ceremony than the Bloodline. But, Anthony, what about you? What do you want to try and send to wrestling heaven?
Okay. For me, I'm looking at the number of matches that they put on these pay-per-views or PLEs. And to me, Triple H was doing it with NXT, and obviously now that he has full control, he's doing it with the main roster where you're averaging 5 to 7 matches. And I think that allows you to more focus on the stories and tell better stories because you're not trying to stretch it to get double-digit matches on a show. Like it's more focused and more streamlined, and the shows I think feel like they go by quicker, but at the same point, I don't feel like I'm getting less. I feel like I'm getting quality over quantity because we've been on watch parties, we've watched WWE shows, we've watched AEW shows. The AEW shows, when they're in the double digits, a lot of times they're matches that are just thrown on the card to throw a match on, and there's no real story behind it, and they seem to drag more. I think the more condensed gives you better quality. And to me, I prefer quality over quantity any day of the week.
Well, I very much agree with you there, Anthony. I always talk about it, but I think it's true. NXT takeovers, I always thought they were the perfect length. And when Triple H came in charge, I really hoped that he'd bring that pay-per-view length onto the main roster. And it took a little bit of time because he wasn't doing it initially, but now he is doing it. And I think it's very effective. So a fantastic point that you make there. But Kobe, I want to find out what you want to send to wrestling heaven.
Well, I mean, here we got Clark Taylor over here trying to do a cheat code and picking Roman Reigns. That's why I hate that these aren't themed rounds. And Okay, that's my vendetta against Ben.
That's
being
actually
exposed
fair.
to the public.
Is that your hell take? I want to know.
No. Hey,
He's trying to chuck the
Unthemed
host in
rounds.
wrestling hell.
I thought we were no spoilers.
That's one way to win. Regardless, the thing is what came to mind about Wrestling Heaven is Bryan Danielson. And this is what inspired me when Clark Taylor said Roman Reigns. I'm like, okay, I got to go with the big guns. I got to go with someone I got to go with a name. I got to go with a career. Bryan Danielson not only got to the top of WWE with the Yes Movement in probably one of the most organic rises that we will ever see, that WWE was forced to go, okay, we're going to put this guy in the main event. I don't know if it's history or not, but I think he's the one person to open and main event WrestleMania at the same time. I can't remember if anyone else has done that, but he did at WrestleMania 30. He opened it with Triple H in that great match. Of course, he came in with that shoulder injury, and then he won in the main event of WrestleMania. It was a beautiful moment. It was a great ending for a milestone WrestleMania. Keep in mind, this is the guy that followed his heart and left the WWE because he wanted to explore. He wanted to go to AEW and see. He knew what he wanted in the wrestling business. He's had classic matches with Will Ospreay, with Zack Sabre Jr., with Hangman Page. He got Holy S chance for standing across from Kenny Omega in Arthur Ashe Stadium. This is a man who obviously isn't the level of star Roman Reigns is, but it's still a career that we aren't fully accepting as such a great career until it is over, and that might be very, very soon. We do have to appreciate Danielson while he's here, while he's a part of wrestling, before his career ultimately finishes.
Yeah, I mean, Coby, you make a phenomenal point as well then. And it's a tough one. It is a really tough. Yeah, what am I going to use as the lever today?
You used to have a slinky.
I did.
That
I
was
mean,
my
I don't
favorite.
think I'm trying to show the packaging.
You don't see a lot of slinkies these days.
No, you don't at all. But here I have a packet of Greek sweets, which my parents brought back
from
Greece.
Greece.
To Greece. Yeah, they brought them back from Greece. So I'll use these as
I
my
should hope they're
lever
from
today,
Greece.
right?
Sounds Greek.
Kobe,
Yeah.
you were partial with Bryan Danielson. Bret Hart did it at WrestleMania 10. He opened and closed.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Well,
now it's the funniest is I was gonna thank you for showing the comment. Sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
but yeah, Soul said Kobe has avenged Bret Hart and that Kobe wins. Oh, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you guys are making me choose between Roman Reigns, specifically the fact that Roman Reigns is back now. He's finally the babyface Vince always wanted him to be, against Triple H, essentially making premium live events good again. And in my opinion, the 5 to 7 match cards have worked perfectly. And then Kobe saying Bryan Danielson. And as we all know, he could well potentially retire in just a few weeks' time. And I'm going to be there in London to see that one. Oh, it is tough. It really, really is. And for that reason, I'm actually going to go for the arguments given about each person, right? And you got your hand up, Clark, or?
He's just acknowledging himself.
He's
acknowledging the tribal
ready
chief.
to win.
Well, I'm going to go to the arguments that you guys gave, because you all gave good arguments, right? But somebody went a little more historical, and I like that. I like the fact that you talked about the bigger picture and what something means in the bigger picture, and that is Kobe. Kobe, I am sending Bryan Danielson to Wrestling Heaven. You win round 1, but Anthony, you're going to be kicking off round 2, Wrestling Hell. What do you want to banish to Wrestling Hell and never see again, Anthony?
Okay, this is something you probably don't know, but the American audience, Clark knows this, and it's always been a pet peeve of mine. I hate the picture-in-picture during matches. I'm not realistically, I am not paying attention to this match when it's in a small screen and I'm hearing a Domino's commercial or State Farm or some other type of you're not keeping the audience. No one's staying there watching your small little picture in picture. It's especially egregious when you have a major match that people really want to see. The most predominant one, usually AEW does it with blood and guts. And I'm going, this is a marquee match. You can't make a deal with the provider to do this commercial free. You've done it before. WWE does it occasionally, does the 1 hour commercial free for Raw. I believe AEW's done it before. Like, make the deal. Like, stop with the picture in picture because you're taking the fans out of it. They're not going to be focused on this. I think even AEW had a match end one time at picture in picture, and I'm like, yeah, that was really successful. That didn't win anything. But to me, that annoys me because I like watching what I'm invested in. And I'm not invested in it when I can't hear commentary and it's a small little box. And I'm going, I don't care now until it's back to where it's supposed to be.
Well, Anthony, in the UK, right, we don't have picture-in-picture for most of them, but what we do have is on AEW specifically. We just get to see the wrestling action, right? So what's in picture-in-picture for you guys is full screen for us. And let me just tell you this, right? I wish it was small. I wish I couldn't see it. Because every week, it's just headlocks with Taz and Tony Schiavone just arguing with each other about absolutely nothing. It's just, it is absolutely abysmal, and I do agree with you, picture-in-picture. I'd almost just prefer the ads themselves, but up next, Kobe, I want to find out what you want to send. You want to chuck into the depths of wrestling hell.
So, for those of you who know me outside of Wrestling Republic, of course, I am probably one of, if not the most diehard John Cena fan of Wrestling Republic. John Cena has been the reason I was in wrestling. He was my favorite wrestler at numerous points throughout the last just over 13 years. But Wrestling Hell has one specific thing, and it's not the Nexus. It is Rey Mysterio's WWE Championship run in 2011. He held this championship for an hour and 45 minutes simply because Rey Mysterio beat The Miz and John Cena said, no, that's mine. And in the main event of that Monday Night Raw, beat Rey Mysterio. And this is the tough thing about this is John Cena is such a lot of kids love John Cena. It's the same thing for Rey Mysterio. A lot of people love that high flyer. A lot of people love the mask. This is essentially two childhood icons of myself and probably a lot of other wrestling fans. And John Cena basically ruining this what would be a historic championship win for Rey Mysterio just to make it a less than 2 hour run time of the championship run. And to me, this just hurts because it's like, I am a John Cena fan and I love the guy for what he's done for my wrestling fandom at this point. But for Rey Mysterio to get shafted at that point with a sub 2 hour championship run, it hurts to say John Cena ended it in that way. That could have been your SummerSlam match if it wasn't Cena versus Punk again in 2011, but it just hurts at that point.
As a kid, Kobe, I completely agree because I hated it when this happened. I was so annoyed because I was a big Rey Mysterio guy. I was a bigger Rey Mysterio guy than a John Cena guy. So as far as I was concerned, John Cena was basically a heel in this. This might have been the closest he ever was to a heel. And I hated it. I despised it. I really, really did. And that is a great point. And one which I think people don't really talk about often enough. But so far, you and Anthony...
I mean, everyone remembers the Nexus. That's the thing. Everyone goes, he buried the Nexus. And that's another story for another conversation.
Talk about sweatbands.
This is... not talking about
Geordie's going to run in and hit you with an attitude adjustment, Clark.
As long as he doesn't pull out the tie, because that ended Danielson's run the first time around.
It did, but yeah,
Technically.
Kobe, great point. Great point indeed. But Clark, I want to find out what you want to send into Wrestling Hell.
I've got two that are tough to follow here, but I think everyone knows where I'm going. I've been critical of it for months here on this very program. Tag team wrestling, the current state of tag team wrestling is garbage, and it needs to go straight to hell. It's ridiculous. We're 4 years removed from the amount of teams that are necessary to build divisions in multiple companies across the board. And I am sick and tired of seeing thrown together teams on runs with no legitimate challenger. There's no legitimate rivalries. There's no such thing as the division. There's only the top of the division, and then there's a few other tag teams at most. But I've never seen in the last 3 years 2 tag teams wrestling to wrestle another tag team. Why don't we do that? If we're going to be smart about this, why don't we do that? I mean, we've got teams out there, legitimate teams like FTR, the Young Bucks. You look at the WWE side, the Usos, not together. Okay, fair. Pretty Deadly's pretty dang good. Pretty Deadly's pretty dang good. DIY, we understand their backstory and whatnot, but it's all thrown together. It's a bunch of single stars. What in the world are we doing with the Street Profits? Are you kidding me? These are 2 of the most over guys in all of wrestling, and we've just underutilized them for what, 2 years now? Just wasted it? Since 39, they got one of the biggest pops at 39 in a tag team match, not for the titles. Not for the titles. And that entrance was electric. And that's the last time I can say that they did something like that. And they had to have like 5 teams involved in that one. I don't get it. Waller and Theory, in my eyes, have broken up four or 5 times and just get back together. They're like that couple on the reality show that can't get rid of each other. That's not a tag team. I don't get it. It's the same thing over on AEW. Like, we've got the Lucha Bros. We've got, go down the roster. It's crazy to me that tag team wrestling has somehow not been a factor. You look back, what do we call a huge pop for an entrance? A Road Warriors pop. That's a tag team. So the fact that we've spent this much time devaluing tag team wrestling is silly to me. And the current state of the division in every major company is bogus. And I'm tired of it. So I'm sending it straight downward. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
The curse on the mute button hit me again, and I think you made a very, very good point, Clark. But there is one thing which I do want to bring up, and that is this comment here from David Marge. Yeah, they get Purgatory. Of course, we're currently talking about Wrestling Hell. Clark, I want to ask you, why do you want to send this to Wrestling Hell, the current landscape of tag team wrestling, to hell instead of Wrestling Purgatory?
To goodness, the reason I want to send it to hell is Purgatory's not enough, because this is a fixable situation. But from the top down, we need to book tag teams in a spot where the fact that the 2 are stronger than 1. That's the point of a tag team. That's what made the Road Warriors great. That's what made, if you look at the 4 Horsemen type tag teams, the Andersons, if you look at the Midnight Express, you look at all the way back, the Rock and Roll Express, the New Day. To strengthen numbers is the lost art. And that's what I think is the reason that I want to send this to Wrestling Hell, is because there's just too many tag teams that feel like a build to a singles run and not a build to a tag run.
Well, you made some pretty good points there, Clark. And for some reason, I can't change the camera angle. That's fun. Yeah, if you could, that'd be brilliant. I have no idea what. There we are.
Oh, there it is.
But sorry, guys, some technical difficulties there. I was pressing the buttons, wasn't doing anything. But I think you made some very, very good points there. But at the same time, I do think David Marge might have screwed you with that comment.
He did. He got me.
Because yeah, he got you. That was a 10-8 as soon as David Marge got in the ring. So it's between Anthony and Kobe for Wrestling Hell. Here's the thing, right? If we didn't have picture-in-picture, then we wouldn't see anything of what's going on. So at least we get to see some stuff. But is that some stuff even worth watching because it's headlocks? Or is it actually worth watching? Who knows? But Kobe, your point, Rey Mysterio, John Cena, the 2011 title switch same night. I was so ready to say that you were going to win this one. But my only thing is, technically speaking, Rey Mysterio did hold that WWE Championship, that spinner WWE belt for a little bit of time. And the reason why was just because of that. So at least it boosted up his resume a little bit. And it was my wallpaper for a good couple of years. So Anthony, I am sending picture-in-picture to Wrestling Hell. It's 1-1. Clark, you're fighting. The odds are against you right now.
I'm looking for overtime at this point.
Can I tell you the irony that I won that while in picture-in-picture makes it just that much better?
It does. Especially since we had tech difficulties.
Exactly. Well, I'm hoping the tech difficulties are going to disappear when they did. It worked, guys. But something else which always works is Next Level. Now, if you guys don't know what Next Level is, let me talk to you in the words of LA Knight. Because Next Level have taken all our social media links and they've chucked them all in one place. And that one place, that one link is nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms linked all in one place. Additionally, if you click that link, you can download their app. On their app, they have an exclusive section of the app just dedicated to professional wrestling content creators. There's a thriving community on there. You guys need to get it. It's completely free. You have nothing to lose. It's nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms linked all in one place. I mean, Next Level would certainly be sent to wrestling heaven as far as I'm concerned. But I'm not on the show today. But somebody who is on the show today is you, Kobe. And Kobe, I want to get your thoughts about what you want to send to Wrestling Purgatory.
It's tough. I've sat here and I've talked about what needs work. What do I think can be elevated to the next level? And I think while I can sit here and appreciate what they've both done this year, the WrestleMania 40 main event under Bloodline rules was magical. It was beautiful to see the run-ins, to see the moments. It is everything I enjoy in a wrestling match because I was so engulfed in the moment. They tried to replicate it at SummerSlam with Solo and Cody. We had the Randy and Kevin pops. We had Roman Reigns' return. Do I think it was at the level of WrestleMania? No, I don't. I do think it was still well done with what they could do. They didn't have access to The Undertaker, John Cena, or The Rock for SummerSlam, but they had access to one of the best returns of the year in Roman Reigns. To me, what has to go to Purgatory is the Bloodline rules booking, because not only have we seen this stipulation twice, we have seen it where the Bloodline don't win. And now I'm at the point where, one, I should never see the Bloodline want to go, hey, let's go for Bloodline rules, because they've lost it twice. And that's what, and I'm sitting here saying while the stipulation has created memorable moments, i.e. Roman Reigns' return, i.e. Cody Rhodes and WrestleMania 40, but I'm sitting here saying I should not be seeing Bloodline rules ever again, because it is never, the Bloodline should fear Bloodline rules at that point. And that's where I'm just like, it needs work, because it's something that I like the stipulation. I like the idea of, we're going to get run-ins aplenty of all the talent that belong in this story. And it's been enjoyable. But the fact of the matter is the Bloodline hasn't won a single one. And if there is a point where they do, if that is The Rock beating Cody Rhodes in Bloodline rules, I don't know. I don't know what happens. I don't know when it happens. But the next time this stipulation, this angle, whatever we want to say it as, the next thing it happens, the Bloodline need to win for me to actually care about this stipulation.
Yeah, Kobe, I completely agree with you that undoubtedly it needs to be the Bloodline who win if they do another Bloodline rules match, because you are right. They've currently lost both of them. Even though it is two different versions of the Bloodline, you are right. Technically, the Bloodline have lost both times, so a very good point indeed. But
no bloodline should want those rules at this point, regardless of what form they're in right
They're
now.
kind of defeated under bloodline rules if you look at the record.
yeah, it's everybody just comes after them. It's like as soon as they say Bloodline rules, everyone's like, well, okay, well, we expect now the Bloodline
Free
to show up.
reign, let's
So
go.
we'll find other people to show up in our corner instead.
You-
But
you know-
Clark, what about?
You
Sorry,
know
yeah,
me-
Anthony.
You know how many buried alive matches the Undertaker's won? A lot less than you would think.
That's true. He does love a bit of a burial. But Clark, I want to know what you want to send to Wrestling Purgatory. What do you want to be improved?
I am sending to Wrestling Purgatory the Money in the Bank briefcase. Because I love the Money in the Bank. I love the concept. I think it's brilliant. I love the pay-per-view. I think it's brilliant. I love ladder matches. I think that's brilliant. But at the end of the day, the level of predictability of late, no. I don't like. We all knew Drew McIntyre was going to cash in and fail. We knew it. CM Punk was there. We knew it. In our hearts. If you watch enough of the show, you know. And then we have Tiffany Stratton. And I love the new briefcase. Love selling the new briefcase. But this is going to get predictable. We're going to know when she's about to finally cash in. And I want the threat of somebody cashing in at any moment to be brought back, because that's what made it great in the first place. And that's why it's Purgatory and not Hell. That's why I had a tough debate in my mind. Am I sending Money in the Bank or Tag Team Wrestling to Hell and Purgatory? Between the two, I went with Money in the Bank here because I do believe it's an easier fix than it is for Tag Team Wrestling. I think if you can just make us feel unsure of when that cash in happens, it's back. But the fact that we're doing it every year, it's getting too formulaic and it's getting too obvious. So I'm out on Money in the Bank briefcases for the time being, just for the second. I love Stratton getting the win. I do think she'll cash in and it'll be great. But for the time being, I think it's something that can be improved upon because it's just too predictable. It's too obvious.
Well, I mean, Kobe's assistant in the chat put in, Ben failed his prediction for a cash in every single time. The predictability isn't an issue. I'll agree with you, Clark. I'll agree with you, Clark and McIntyre, right? I absolutely will. But let's not forget something. Let's not forget that you said that Damian Priest would not cash in at WrestleMania. And he did cash in at WrestleMania,
Sure.
and he did win. You also didn't predict him to win the briefcase, and he did. So what do you say to that?
I would say that that's apart. First off, I did not say that the predictability of the match itself is a problem.
Okay,
Once
just
the
the cash in,
briefcase
just the
is
cash
in
in.
their hands.
Okay.
So I will say that, like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but that wasn't
was a good
my
point.
point. My point is about post-match, what happens with the briefcase itself. Yes, Priest, I didn't exactly predict because I really didn't want it to happen. Truth be told, there. So when it comes to my predictions, that's different than my opinion. My opinion is that it was predictable that he would cash in at WrestleMania. That's what I thought would happen, and CM Punk would be a factor, and all of that.
You didn't say that. You never said that on the show.
Well, we can check some tape if we really
We can
want.
check some tape. You never said that. Nobody called it.
I called that CM Punk would be a factor in the Drew McIntyre match. That's all that matters.
Oh, you did. You did say that.
That's
you did
exactly
say that,
what
but you
I
didn't
said.
say cash in. You did not
But
say
I said
cash in.
word for word that CM Punk would play a role in the Drew McIntyre match. So,
I
look.
believe that.
Yeah.
But
On top of that, I get it. But my point is, this is Purgatory. This isn't heaven or hell. So I'm not saying it's the worst. That's why this is the most middle to me. And I think there's a route we can go in the future when it comes to booking the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's that's less predictable and brings back that organic, nostalgic feeling of like, oh, at any moment, this can be changed, and that's what's missing. But it's not all the way down to hell. It's purgatory. It's not all the way down to hell.
Sky either. This thing, you're saying it's unpredictable, and you didn't predict any of the recent ones other than McIntyre. No, it wasn't. It was last year.
You're now talking about the matches themselves.
No,
I predicted
about the
when
cash
she
in.
cashed
You
it
didn't
in.
predict
Yes,
Io
I
to
did.
cash in.
Yes, I predicted Io's cash in. Yes, I did.
I might have to go and watch some tape while we find out what Anthony wants to send to Wrestling Purgatory. Anthony, what do you want to send there?
Well, this is a little awkward because I didn't know what Clark's thing was. I'm actually sending the tag team wrestling to Purgatory because I do think it is fixable. Wrestling is, and Ben can confirm it because I sent him the list earlier. So that's the whole thing. Tag team wrestling has always ebbed and flowed and had different peaks. Like Clark mentioned about the Road Warrior Pop. They were the first major tag team to kind of be a major draw. However, they went in every company and they buried everybody and then left. Like that, they really didn't build the tag teams. But there's so many teams now that get put together again as a launching pad, like the Rocker, back to the Rocker days. Which one's the Marty Jannetty and which one's the Shawn? It's repeated itself over the years. Pure tag teams, there's few and far between. The Bucks are a pure tag team. The Dudleys were a pure tag team. The Hardys, although they broke up, and did different things, they're brothers. So they're a tag team. But we've seen peaks with tag team wrestling. And for example, with WWE, Hunter inherited a lot of stuff to fix. The Intercontinental title, which was the workhorse title, that got demolished during the Vince years. And he built it back with Gunther. He's trying to do that with the US title. It takes a lot to rebuild. But I think it's doable. But it's a problem across all of wrestling. AEW had a phenomenal tag team division. It's almost non-existent. You have FTR there and you have the Bucks, but the Bucks haven't defended those tag titles since they've won them. So, I mean, you have the Acclaim that don't have the spark that they used to have. WWE's breaking teams up. TNA has limited on what teams they have. NWA is NWA. But it is fixable. But I think the focus, I think WWE's probably going to be the closest because they have some direction with some things. And I think they can put teams together and stop breaking teams up that are established. You use those to build new teams. If you want to break up New Day, break up New Day, but use them to build a new team. You use the established teams to do that. I think tag team wrestling is fixable. It's just a matter of, are any of these companies willing to commit to just these people as tag teams? And it's also the talent too. Does the talent just want to launch off? I don't know how many have the dream to just be tag team. And I think that's few and far between too.
Yeah, I think you make a brilliant point, Anthony, and I said it on Clark's point earlier.
Dang it.
I agreed with a lot of what he said, and Clark's actually backed you up. He's helped you, because he made a lot of great points about this earlier, but to put it in Purgatory instead.
Do we split the points?
We've got Human Tornado in the chat. Shout out to you.
Yes, what's good?
We have Anthony Manzano saying that he put the Universal Championship in Wrestling Purgatory. And yeah, David Marge is a fan of DIY as well. But I am going to summarize, right, guys, because we know currently it's 1 point to Anthony, 1 point to Kobe, 0 points to Clark. But could we be heading towards sudden death? I'm going to break this down one by one real quick, right? Firstly, bloodline rules, Kobe. You make a lot of good points. But your big point was that if they lose it again, or they do it again, then it makes no sense. But they haven't done it again yet. So, I don't necessarily think it needs to be improved. Because I don't think it's in bad enough shape. So, I'm not going to be sending Bloodline Rules to Wrestling Purgatory. But, could I send the Money in the Bank briefcase there? It's it's one of the favorite times of the year for all wrestling fans, Money in the Bank, because it makes the product so unpredictable. And Clark, you brought it up. Maybe the predictability has declined a little bit in recent years. And then you, Anthony, you're saying tag team wrestling. pretty much everyone is talking about it right now. The booking in WWE, AEW, anywhere you go, it sucks. None of them are taking tag team wrestling seriously. So, you all had very, very good points. But here is the thing, Clark. You said that you predicted Io Sky's cash-in last year at SummerSlam.
Would you look it up?
I did look it up. You, in fact, did not predict that. But you did make a prediction. And that prediction was that you 100% thought that Damian Priest was going to cash in his briefcase last year at SummerSlam.
You and your silly research. Ridiculous.
He's letting facts and logic get in the way of Clark's
This is a
argument.
joke.
So, on that note, I am getting my lever, otherwise known as some Greek candies, and I am sending tag team wrestling to Wrestling Purgatory.
Monster
Congratulations,
shout out,
Anthony. You have won. How does it feel to be the winner?
It feels great. Every time I'm on one of these competition ones, apparently I win, which is I don't shoot for as long as I don't embarrass myself. But Clark,
the fact that I got blanked.
Clark, I have no problem sharing this with you, like Lay Cool shared the Divas title back in the day for that one point. But
in the words of the great Sergio Garcia, the golfer, I'm playing against more than my fellow competitors.
Oh, here he goes. He loses, and there's suddenly an agenda against
still
him.
going again. Oh, got it. Things don't change.
But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you everyone who's been in the comments as well. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow to answer your questions for Mailbag Monday. I'll be putting the Instagram story up very soon for you guys to submit your questions. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Kobe. And thank you, Clark, for joining me here today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.